What did you think about the video of Diddy assaulting Cassie in the hotel?
I mean, I think I thought what everyone else thought. It was fucked up. It's it's not something he should have done. He's not the only one that's done the shit, but it's one of the first times we're actually seeing video of it. And it's a fucked up situation.
Yeah, I just did an interview with Roger Bonds, who was the head of security with Diddy for 10 years. And what he said that kind of brought a certain level of kind of clarity to the whole situation was that Diddy and Cassie were both drug addicts during this time. They constantly pop pills, constantly. Diddy had a medicine bag that they would carry everywhere he went. He had doctors in Miami that would give him perks and Zans and every other type of drug that he can get. And when those prescriptions ran out, he would have Cassie go to the same doctors and get a bunch of pills for him and her and have other people around him, his assistants and whatever else, go and get drugs. So he was just constantly high. They would go on these drug binges that would last 2, 3 days, that they would all get IVs to try to put fluids back in their body to try to recover. And then the next weekend, they would do it all over again. I mean, we all know drug addict couples that beat each other up all the time. Like you can see it in the street.
Nah, yeah, it's just when you're dealing with two people that are famous and rich, you know, it's still there's no excuse on his part. He shouldn't have done that shit. But
No, no, there isn't. There isn't, especially because, I've had physically abusive women in my life, right? And I've grabbed them before and tried to get them to stop hitting me. But I've never struck a woman. I've never punched a woman. I've never slapped a woman. Uh, and when I heard about the abuse, I'm like, well, maybe it kind of went both ways to a certain degree. But then when I saw that video, I'm like, okay, nah, whatever happened, because people are like, oh, they're saying that she just stole 100,000 from him. Okay, and clearly he wasn't in danger at that moment. He chased her down the hall, threw her on the ground, kicked her, dragged her back. It was like, yeah, no, you can't co-sign that, especially when it's a man and a woman.
nah, but I mean, a lot of people are fake upset though. So it's like in the hood, you gonna see that shit all the time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you got pimp YouTubers.
Hmm.
What the fuck you think they do?
Oh yeah.
That's what they do. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like a lot of people are like fake outrage, like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. When really motherfuckers be doing that shit all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's just it's unfortunate. It's a fucked up situation.
Listen, people love Don Magic Juan. I mean, he's someone I'm cool with. I've interviewed him. Snoop loves him. And I brought this up when I interviewed him because I read his books. He regularly beat his prostitutes. And he said, listen, when you tell, one of your hoes to do something and they don't do it, and you tell them that if they continue not to do it, you're going to do something to them, you have to follow through on that. And he wasn't apologetic about it. He didn't feel sorry about it. He didn't feel regretful about it. He just said, this is part of the game. And you're absolutely right. Most pimps beat their women.
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to like snitching, motherfuckers will get a pass all day on some domestic shit.
Hmm.
It's like it's just not considered like a big deal. You know what I mean? So it's like it's something that happens a lot. It's just Diddy and the timing in which he came out and the fact that we're seeing it on video. You know, I honestly hope he becomes president again.
I don't see how he's not going to get elected. I am fairly sure at this point that he's going to get elected.
Yeah.
Unless they somehow stop him from running. But I even heard that the whole RICO case that's happening in Georgia, it's been delayed and there's no way they can really stop it
I mean,
before
I
the
I
election.
think that them fucking him over with this case is doing the opposite of what they wanted because people have been getting fucked over for decades. Now it's happening to somebody that they're targeting politically. But the people that have been fucked over are relating to him even more because he's going through it. So it's like, I don't see that working on Biden's behalf or whatever, how that was supposed to play out. So, and then he can barely even fucking talk and stand up. So I don't know who the fuck would be dumb enough to go that way. But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not like Biden won by a landslide. I mean, he definitely won, but it wasn't by a landslide. And Trump was way more unpopular back then.
Well, I think
and
that
Biden was way more popular back then.
There's certain ways to sway the crowd. One of the biggest ones is the race shit. You know, everybody wanted to paint Trump as a racist. If you had a MAGA hat, you were racist. And even with things coming out on Biden, you know, they had a speech or whatever it was come out on Biden where he was talking about he doesn't want his kids going to mixed schools because he doesn't want them growing up in a jungle. So it's like, he's got shit that he's said before, but, you know, people will sway things how they want to sway things. And I feel like a lot of people have woken the fuck up and they can see him for who he is and they see Trump now for who he is and they're leaning more towards him.
You should keep it that way. I know some shit about N-words that make Gunna wanna look like a saint. So he's basically saying, oh yeah, Gunna snitched. Based on what you did, you're snitching, you know, it's nothing compared to what Gunna did.
Yeah.
So Drake responded on The Heart Part 6. And he said, first, if I was a rat, so where's the proof of the trial then? Where's the paperwork or the cabinets filed in? 1090 Jake would have taken all the walls down. The streets would have had to be hiding out in a small town.
Yeah.
How did it feel to have your name mentioned during the biggest battle of this era?
Yeah, that shit was crazy because I didn't know. I just started receiving texts like, yo, fuck it, you did it. I'm like, I did what? You know what I mean? And then people start sending me the link. I'm like, oh, shit. You know, at that time, I had just came down to Florida and I'm at a B&B, you know what I'm saying, with the family and shit. And I'm like, yeah, I got to go out. Like, why do you got to go? I was like, nah, I got to go celebrate. I got to go pop a bottle of something. So I went out that night. I hit the strip club and hung the fuck out. But yeah, that was crazy because I didn't expect that. And knowing what I know behind it as far as like the snitch allegations, you know, I even DM'd Drake and told him like I was going to cover it. But their beef like faded and there was so little to cover. So basically Drake got robbed in the situation. They took his shit, but they did the robbery in front of the police outside of like some bougie ass restaurant. So they didn't even get away. They got grabbed at the scene, whatever. Drake lost the AP, whatever the fuck. They got picked up for it. Now, somebody that I think Drake worked with at one point in time, this black dude from Canada, he's the one that came out and said, oh, I got paperwork. And all he showed was like an affidavit, basically naming the two people that got booked for it and saying that Drake was the victim. Nothing about cooperation, no statement, none of this shit. So I even actually reached out to the guy that dropped the paperwork. And he's basically like, oh yeah, bro, I seen it. I don't have it, but I seen it. And I was like, yeah, this is a dead end. There's nothing on him. You know what I mean? So it was just something somebody threw out early in his career and people try to make it stick, but there was never actually anything saying Drake snitched on anybody.
Okay. So you're talking about the line, I mean, it's true, N-word slime me for my AP.
Yeah.
So, okay, so here we go. So I looked this up. So in 2009, Drake was robbed. This is according to Genius. It says he and his date had finished eating at a restaurant, had walked to Drake's SUV on Beatrice Street. Moments later, after they got in the vehicle, two armed men approached Drake and demanded his money and jewelry. The then 23-year-old rapper complied, giving the perpetrators $2,000 in cash, an Audemars Piguet watch, and a diamond chain Lil Wayne had gifted him. So two guys rolled up on him, coming out of a restaurant. They took him for $2,000 cash, a chain, and his AP watch.
Yeah.
But then they got caught right away. So is Kendrick kind of implying that he cooperated with the police on this?
Yeah, he's going along with what the guy from Canada was implying. So the guy from Canada worked with Drake early in his career. That guy's career went nowhere, and he was basically just hating on Drake.